So I work two jobs, have a YouTube channel, I play sports, I play music, and I participate in a lot of clubs at university, all while studying full-time in medical school. I know that just sounds like a massive flex, but in reality, all of these activities take time, and sometimes it's hard, if not impossible, to actually balance everything that I need to do. My name's Emil, and in this video, I'll share with you my TCA system, which are three of the absolute most basic things that I do on a day-to-day basis to juggle all of my commitments. These aren't necessarily things that you might never have heard of, but they're things that I have to have any sense of organization in my life. The T in the TCA system stands for a good to-do list. As with all three of these things, I know that everyone understands that a to-do list is probably a good thing to have as part of a productivity system, but I know that a lot of people, including myself, don't actually use them very well. Until around June or July this year, I actually didn't use a to-do list very properly, and I'm not really sure why. Part of the reason why I don't think I use my to-do list as much as I do now is because I didn't rely on it fully. If you're going to use a to-do list, I think you need to commit to it 100%. What I used to do is I used to keep a few tasks in my head, and then I would also write a few things down on paper. So I would have a to-do list in my brain and also on paper or on an app that I was using. What happened as a result was that sometimes I would feel as though there was something on my to-do list that I had forgotten, but it wasn't there, and then I felt as though my to-do list was useless. I know that this is something that a lot of other people feel as well, but then once you feel as though your to-do list isn't working, there's almost no point to having it, and then I would just slowly fall off the habit of using my to-do list at all. Whenever I think of any task at all, I'll straight away put it onto my to-do list, regardless of where I am or what I'm doing. I've also found that using a good app for your to-do list helps so much. This video isn't sponsored, but the app I use is called Todoist, and I find it's really good for a few reasons. Firstly, it's cross-platform over iPhone, Mac, and Windows, so it means that if I put anything on my phone, it will still come up to my PC, which is already just like a really great function. And the other great thing about it is that you can add tasks really easily just by pressing a single button and then just typing out the tasks that you need. And I find that this is really good because it means that whenever I remember even the smallest thing, I can just put it straight into my to-do list app, and it just works really well. Now that I've set up this system so that everything I need to do is on my to-do list, if something isn't there, I'm just not going to do it. Once you have a good to-do list, the next part of my TCA system is a good calendar. As with the to-do list, the really obvious use of a calendar is to just make sure you don't have any schedule clashes or that you're double booked for something and you have no idea what to do. But I actually use my calendar for a lot more than that. I'll have a video coming up about this next week, but I also use my calendar to make sure that I'm spending my time intentionally and I'm not forgetting those things that are important but not necessarily urgent. When you're balancing a lot of commitments, it's really easy for things like practicing an instrument, exercise, or meditating to just fall out of the way because you're so busy. The way I use my calendar is that on top of the schedule that I have for everything that I need to do, I'll also schedule in specific times for me to actually complete these healthy habits, so that once they're in my schedule, they're set in concrete and I'm definitely going to do them. When I use my calendar in this way, it means that I actually schedule out time to do these things that I know will be good for me in the long term, and I don't ignore them for more urgent or more present priorities. I also use my calendar combined with my to-do list to split up really big tasks into smaller, more bite-sized pieces. For example, if I know I have an assignment that I need to do, in my to-do list, I'll actually assign an amount of time that I think that assignment will take. Say for example, 10 hours. What I'll do then is I'll split that 10 hours into 5 2-hour blocks, for example, and then I'll assign some tasks to do in each of those 2-hour blocks. For example, the first 2 to 3 hours might be research, after that might be writing, and then finally I'll leave some time for editing. It's not actually important how I split up those blocks, but once I have them, I can use my calendar as a time prioritization system, and I can just block them into my calendar so that I know I can complete my assignment or my video in whatever time that I need. This is one of those things that I feel like has completely transformed the way I work, and it just makes the task of going through really big projects like an assignment or a video so much easier for me to do and so much less stressful. Pretty much every week, I use my calendar and my to-do list religiously to make sure that I know exactly what work I want to do and how I'll complete those tasks in the time that I have. The A in the TCA system stands for accountability, and it's how I actually tie together my to-do list and my calendar by making sure that I get the stuff that I've planned to do done. I'm sure everyone is really familiar with that feeling of knowing you have to do something, knowing you will be screwed if you don't do it, but still not feeling like doing that thing. Personally, I find these procrastination sessions to be so dangerous because they can push back my entire schedule for a week and mean that I have to ignore important work that I want to do. A good example of this is if I procrastinate on scripting a video, for example, that'll mean I can't film a video, and I can only film videos on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when my mom isn't home. So if I don't script my video on Tuesday for filming on Wednesday, that'll mean I have to miss an entire upload and I'll just end up feeling really terrible about it. All you have to do is look at my upload history to know that this has happened to me many times in the past, but it's something that can be really damaging to my morale and also my motivation going throughout the day. Killing procrastination isn't easy, but the best way I found to always follow up on my schedule is to put something I really care about on the line. What I usually do these days is if I find myself procrastinating on something, I'll text my girlfriend that if I don't work on my uni work, for example, for at least 30 minutes, I'll have to cancel our date. So far, I've never had to cancel a date, although I'm not sure if my girlfriend appreciates me putting our quality time at risk so easily. All jokes aside though, I really think that accountability is almost like a cheat code for life, for making you do something that you don't want to do really easily. You don't necessarily need to use my example, but you can tell your friend that you'll give them $100 if you don't do a certain amount of work before a certain time. Or you can tell your parents that if you don't do your work, that you'll have to do 100 push-ups. I've found that when your brain has something really tangible that it can lose out of not doing its work, procrastination just flies out of the window and you just turn into a machine that does the work regardless of whether you feel like it or not. Accountability is like the secret glue to this system, and it's what allows me to have something on my calendar as a task to do and still do it even if I don't feel like it. The TCA system is the bread and butter that I use on a day-to-day basis to make sure that I can balance all of my commitments. If you want to hear more about how I schedule my time, remember to like, comment, and subscribe because I'll have a video about that coming next week.